Kevin.
Hi, Licia. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you too. So, uh, Shakespeare in the Courts is a very evocative name for the organization. And I wonder if you would let us know whose brilliant idea was this to bring a Shakespeare program to kids in trouble who are in the court system?
It has kind of a lengthy beginning. The years ago, when we started doing residencies in high schools, the first big one we did was at Lenox High, and the principal there, Paul Parachi, was a basketball coach who became the principal, and he invited us in because a drama teacher quit in the middle of this rehearsal period. So Tina threw me under the bus and said, "You have to go in and direct a musical." I don't know anything about musicals. So I said, "I'd be happy to come in, but can it be Shakespeare?" And Paul was desperate. So he said, "Sure, whatever, leave me alone."
Oh, no.
So we started this project, this high school project of doing Shakespeare. And at the end of it, the kids clamored to do it again. I mean, we had sword fights in it. We had dances. So we had scenes. We had comic scenes, tragic scenes. We had everything. Wow. And they clamored to do it. So then every year we started doing a Shakespeare program. Well, after about 3 or 4 years of this, the principal, Paul, came to us and said, "This is great. This is great. He was surprised at how impactful this was in their lives. He was saying things like, they're participating in class more. They seem much more confident. They speak up. They say hello to the custodians in the hallway." Wow. So we developed this whole ethic and aesthetic for working on Shakespeare as a collaborative, cooperative, humane learning experience. So we'd have like 3 Romeos and 3 Juliets. There was no stars. It was about an educational experience, but a deep and rigorous one. So soon after that, Paul, went to night school, became a lawyer, and then he got appointed the first juvenile court judge in Berkshire County. Oh, about a week after he was appointed judge, he called up. This is like a whole week, for him to get his sea legs. He called up and said, "That Shakespeare project we do could we do that with the court kids? Because I'm seeing a lot of court kids and I know how much this would benefit them. So could you cook up some kind of program to do with the court kids?"
That's visionary. Holy cow.
That's how it started. It was, I have to say, it was really Paul Parachi, the juvenile judge, his idea. And he had to really campaign. He had to campaign with the probation officers. He had to campaign with the other judges. And it took some convincing. And it took us, honestly, a couple years, thinking through, talking with Paul, meeting with people to create a model. And the first model didn't work. It was 12 weeks. It was twice a week. And we abandoned that soon after because you couldn't maintain it only doing 2 days a week. It kind of, they'd get excited and then the energy dropped down. They'd get excited and dropped. So then we changed it to 4 days a week for 6 or 7 weeks, much more intense. And that became the program. And we cut the plays because you always cut Shakespeare plays. I mean, Hamlet's like 4 hours long. You have to cut these plays. But, and we did everything we would do with the high school kids. We had dances, we had songs. This is risky business for some of these kids with sword fights.
Yeah. Yeah.
For some of these kids that, schlump in their chair and they do a lot of posturing and are inarticulate. So this was a big risk for them. So over the years, we developed, lots of strategies for working with high school students, but this was the most challenging because we were hitting kind of the most resistance and the greatest need. The
Right.
greatest need for them to have an experience of a more positive experience of working with their peers, of caring about their peers, of beginning to use language to reveal rather than conceal
Right.
themselves. It's
That's
a
a
whole
very
other way of
powerful
using
thing.
language.
Yeah.
Um, and after doing it for years, I've had a couple thoughts about it, and one is, Shakespeare is the excuse,
Right.
and Shakespeare gives them this wildly challenging but hugely rewarding experience. But you really need to go at it with baby steps. Honestly, it's like
Yeah.
it's like the horse whisperer, when you're learning something new, the slow way is the fast way.
Right.
So it's, bit by, I mean, we can get them to do anything if you put in enough baby steps along the way. Funders always ask, does this fix them?
Oh God.
And and then I'll say, no, it's not about that. And Paul, the judge, will say the same thing. He says, no, it doesn't fix them. Then picking up trash on the road doesn't fix them. Spending time in jail doesn't fix them. This doesn't fix them. But what happens is, over the course of it, they change.
Yeah.
Change happens. And I can tell you about 1,000 stories of change that's happened to these kids. Do they still get in trouble? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think they don't get in trouble as often, and they don't get in trouble to the extent that they did before, because something has changed in them as they do this process. And I've always thought that, we're Shakespeare Company, so we think, they're really liking Shakespeare. They're falling in love with Shakespeare. That's not true at all. In doing this, what they're doing is they're I would say, exaggeratedly, they're falling in love with themselves.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
see something new about themselves that they admire, that they want to keep.
Yeah.
And it's fragile, and it takes a lot of support. And, their brains are still developing. Of course, they're going to make horrible judgments and mistakes, but they see something in themselves that they never saw before, and they start to like it. And that can grow,
Yeah.
that can build, and they start caring about each other.